Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday the 13th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. Thank goodness I do feel quite a bit better today. And we are looking at very bullish markets. So let's pay attention to what's happening. Dip buying zone. What we did was have a shallow pullback yesterday. And the moment that we held above the high of the prior day, we were off to the races. So here we are again. We are above the high of the prior day, and we are in continuation. So what do we want to watch for? Starting with the YM today, just because it was sitting there in my chart. Here's the thing. The ECB lowered rates ahead of us. A lot of economic softness over there. And although folks are saying, hey, listen, we've had the biggest 2-week outflow that we've had in some time, commodity technical advisors are flipping the script and going long again. And so we probably have some more price action that's going to push us up through this wall of worry here from September the 3rd. So let's draw Fibonacci. Let's see where the 61.8 is. Oh, we breached it yesterday. And so let's add, let's go here and say 0.5. And then let's go here and say 0.382. Okay. All right, so this gives us a little bit of strategy in terms of what we're looking at for the upside. Top end, 41,483, 41,485. It might go to the big fat round number of 41,500. Here's the thing. It was the most bullish that my stream has been last night as I was reading it that I can remember in recent times. Certainly. Most certainly. Every single thing super bullish. What that tells me is we could have ourselves a little bit of a run, but that tilting of the boat, it makes me super cautious. So I'm still waiting for a dip to buy. That's what we're staring down. So what are the nice dip zones? Heavy congestion, 41,063. Yesterday's closing of the VWAP, 40,990, excuse me. And then, you know, the POC, 40,900, 40,888. If, per happenstance, we fade in a shallow mode and then move up into 41,355, 41,485, we've got ourselves, you know, a place that really is starting to look like we might break out to the new highs. We bounced off the value area low. Maybe we're going all the way back to value area high up here at 41,664. Anything's possible. What I'm seeing is dips are being bought. So wait for the dips, okay? If you are thinking, hey, how does a dip look? You know, go back a few days in my YouTube channel and you will see dips always look the same way when they're ready to turn. And they look just like they do on big pictures. First, I fail to head lower. I breach a relative resistance. The relative resistance here was the value area low once it was lost. And then I buy the pullback. Now notice where your stop has to be. If you buy the pullback here at 54.48, the stop goes all the way down here because the actual floor of support and risk is right here at these much lower levels, 53.90, 5400. We have to think about those things when we're looking at stuff. But volume price trend analysis looks fantastic, really moving up to the upside there. Looks great. For the ES, we're coming into the POC, which is the point of control. And that gives us 56.25 all the way up to 56.50. The value area high is 56.69 and some change. Pullbacks are buy zones. Where's a likely pullback? We can look at 55.80. We've got to be patient here because as 55.80 holds, then we'll be able to go, but we have to wait on it. Really, we have to wait on it. So Could we collapse and move all the way down? Yes. So when do we get cautious about taking longs? If we lose the close of the prior day, buyers will become less positive about buying and sellers will become more positive about selling. So it gives us a pressure event that says, hey, watch for the floor, and as soon as you have it, you can move on to the upside. All right, for the ES, we're looking at 5508, 5608, and 5648. Pretty big motion here, 5649.50. Downside pressure event, we're going to start being cautious around that 5608. It'll take us into 5580 and some change. Yeah, 5580, and then 5558 potentially. If we lose the open of the prior day and you're looking for longs, I say just pump the brakes, go down to a small time frame and wait for this formation to tell you you've got the right action in play. A lot of us have impulse control when we are staring down a chart and we're waiting for the right price. So realize that impulse control is something that you have to manage and move accordingly. Okay, look at this trend line. Here's the NQ. We broke right through it second day. Next place to the upside is 19,574 and then the value area high at 19,707. Okay, so it's been about maybe 2.5 weeks since we dropped into the value area and we are retracing it. Here's what's happening. We've got wick action here. It's still by the dip. So if you're thinking, hey, maybe it'll race off to the top, it could, but you want to be very careful with your risk event. And if it loses 19,412, what's the close of that? 19,413, 19,410. The VWAP of the prior day is, the closing area is 19,361. That's a pretty nice floor. And so we're looking for that pullback that says, hey, I got a buy zone ahead and I'm going to move forward from that perspective. All right. So there we have it, that pullback area. If we lose this 19,361, there's a ton of motion behind us. We are in a buy the dip formation. It is the natural flow. We've got to roll with that flow until it stops being that flow. Could it come in a heartbeat? Yes. That's why you have to manage size. Oh, we started with the YM this morning. Sorry. Let's take a look at oil. Super interesting things going on in oil. Still bouncing. You know, my thought is that this area up here at 71.67 is the next line in the sand. It is by the dip. We are at heavy congestion, so you'd want to wait for a pullback that gives you a good shot. Look at how steep this hull is. With a hull that's very steep, you're going to have rotation back to support. That's just the nature of the hull. It's truly a beautiful moving average to take a peek at. If you haven't ever used the hull, I've got the 18 here, open, high, low, close, divided by 4. Okay? All right, so pullbacks, buy zones, to the upside, 71.67. So how about we see how it does at the 68 area, right? See if it pulls back and it holds this higher low. We've got to be super patient here. All right, next thing with gold, people are always on two sides of the fence here. With gold, it is absolutely rocketing to the north, right? It's got a great big motion. Did not come back to where I wanted it to. Oh gosh, I sure wish it does. I believe people have all kinds of crazy ideas about why they think gold is doing this. I, again, suspect that gold is doing this because central banks are buying. Big money knows that central banks are buying, and so they're following in with the financial instrument that we have here. Remember, this is not real gold. This is a futures instrument, which means it's a financial instrument. So if things go sideways or get pretty nasty, this is going to fall out of bed like everybody else. If you're looking for things, it's physical gold that you need to have your hands on. If you're looking to just trade a range and not hang on to something, pullbacks or buy zones here again. I mean, wow, are these pullbacks or buy zones? A very sideways hull, which tells me I need to be patient. I just got to wait it out. And if I chase, I've got to be very, very cognizant of risk. So I've got to watch my size. Let's take a look at SPY, also doing well over the point of control. Listen, a point of control becomes a point of control because people argue. That's the point of control. We sit around and argue about who's got control. So we can move up, 565. We can move down, 555. We're sitting right here in the middle. Very sideways chop. Do we have any consumer sentiment at 10 o'clock? That might be something interesting to look at. Okay? So, oh, look, that's me. We've got these, we're headed to Finland. We always carry tracts for the gospel in there, and I've got my order sitting up there. Sorry about that. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to pull back, maybe 556 to 555. Listen, here's the thing you want to think about. Don't overthink trend when it is this savage. You get to your 30-minute and you go, all right, am I above all my moving averages? Yes. Am I bouncing from those moving averages? Yes. I'm going to take a long. And you're going to sit long until you have a candle close that doesn't close above the high of the prior candle. Simple as that. That's what you're going to look for. Today, a little bit messy, probably waiting on consumer sentiment here in SPY. And so, is there risk events? Of course. There's a risk that it comes all the way back down and kisses our big moving average, which is the 30 simple. Okay? So, we're pulling that and having a look at it, saying, hey, maybe I buy the dip, but if I'm not headed higher, I better not hold that dip that I'm buying, take it into resistance. All right? Intraday motion is going to be incredibly important. Let's take a look at the cues. What are we looking at? Not as much motion, right? That's because we've got sector rotation. We have sector rotation, and I think we're going to be sideways. I still think we're going to be sideways. We're stretching higher, but generally very sideways. So where are we going next? That's the point of control. 475, 477, 480, very likely. Buy the dip? Absolutely. Yesterday's VWAP, 471. Day before yesterday's close, 468. So what do you want to do? Either buy the dip, if you take the break to the north, and then it loses the opening of today's candlestick or the close of yesterday's candlestick, either trim your size or get out and then get back in when it looks better. All right? Okay, that's it for me, folks. I'll see you on the platforms. Today we have our midday Zoom meeting, and we ought to have ourselves a pretty good day ahead. All right? So take care, and I'll see you soon.